I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a greener world, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. When you stop to think about what makes one store preferred over another, what comes to mind? Is it price or convenience? Well, those certainly help, but they don't matter at all if you end up making a wasted trip. Yet we all love finding that place that consistently has the variety, service, and support that we look for when we take time out of our busy schedules to finally make that stop. Your local Independent Garden Center, or IGC, is that kind of place for gardeners and weekend warriors of all levels. From beginning gardeners seeking information on how to plant that first container, to plant connoisseurs trying to find that hard-to-find specimen. These are really special places. And yet with any industry, some companies stand out from the others. And when it comes to garden centers, Austin, Texas is home to two of the best. The Natural Gardener, located on 8 acres of rustic Texas hill country, is a world-class gardening destination, known for its pioneering work in organic gardening and sustainable living. The grounds include an old farmhouse and vibrant community resource offering teaching gardens, classes, display gardens, a retail plant nursery, farm animals, and wildlife habitat. The man behind it all is John Dromgoole, a champion for organic gardening through his business, radio, television shows, and more for nearly 40 years.
I think that when you go into those stores that are independent, you can tell the difference between some of the big stores that maybe chain type stores. They drive right by these places. Their experience in some of these places is the lack of service, maybe not enough organics in there that they're looking for. And it's always surprising to me that we're a little remote. We're out of town a little ways, and they will drive out here to visit with us. And we make sure the staff knows that. You say, look, these people drove a long way to get out here. Make sure you take good care of them when they get here. That's very important. And that's what the other independents can do too. Give good customer service. The price, you know, it's there. We have to admit it, that we buy things for what they sell them for, because they're national, they're big. They're so big that they dictate the price from the grower. Well, we can't do that, you know, but we can give you good information, we can give you good service, we can tell you that when you're planting a well-adapted plant in the right season in a healthy soil, it's going to do well for you. But you don't get that message somewhere else. That is worth that little difference. The success that you have because you've heard these other things, put a little rock phosphate in the hole, earthworm castings, you'll see the difference, you'll be much more successful.
One of my favorite reasons for coming to a garden center is for the inspiration and all the new ideas. It's like a think tank of smart, passionate people on the cutting edge of their profession. So when you come to a place like this, you get to see all that expertise in action. And the display gardens are a great way to see all that and learn so much all in one place. Here, they have display gardens all over the property. The herb garden is a great way to learn to identify the plants and how they look at maturity. They even have them grouped by which region they come from. The butterfly garden features pollinator and nectar-friendly plants that are not only beautiful performers in the landscape, but great wildlife habitat plants too. There's an area planted out for drought-tolerant grasses, lawn alternatives, and clumping ornamental grasses, all on display so you can know what they look like beyond a bag of seeds or small containers. There's even this vegetable garden display. Now keep in mind, we're in Central Texas in the middle of the summer. Temperatures approached 100 degrees today, and yet we have this thriving food garden. And this is a great way for people to come get ideas on not only what grows here, but how it looks, how tall it gets, what sort of bed structure you can design for this, and all kinds of things. And you know, if you can't find your answer right away, there's probably somebody close by to help you with that. And if not, there's a display board in the garden that has lots of information, including articles related to growing food. Pretty smart. Now, something I learned today that I love, and that's this right here. Now, you know these cones that go over tomatoes and peppers to support them? Well, frankly, I've never been a big fan because I find them rather flimsy. And apparently they think the same thing here, because Randy, one of the gardeners here, came up with a very smart idea. He took those cones as the base, added some of these green fence posts that don't cost a lot, but you can get them just about anywhere, and he attached them with zip ties. And then he took some bamboo to add some additional support and some added height, which is really nice. And now we've got a really functional and sturdy structure for tomatoes or whatever else you want to grow in here. And you know what? I'm going to go home and do the same thing at my garden. And I think it's a pretty smart idea. Inside, one of the most popular features is the free professional consultation and diagnosis of plant problems. It's staffed 7 days a week, and anyone can walk in with whatever plant-related problems they may be dealing with. The staff can place it under a microscope, bring it up on the large display, and help you see immediately what the problem is. Even better, they can send you home with the best solution to solve your problem. Like most serious IGCs, education is key, and it's no exception here. But when they come here, they love learning about organic and natural solutions and how to make compost tea. It's one of their most popular seminars. So John, you're going to show us how to make that today, but before you do, tell us a little bit about the benefits of compost tea.
Well, you know, Joe, the extract of the compost brings out the beneficial organisms too. The old way was just to stir the water. Well, that was anaerobic. But this way we bubble it and we keep them aerobic and they can live outside. And so these beneficial organisms help us to suppress disease on the leaves, black spot, other fungal types of diseases, bacterial diseases. It does a wonderful job. And so that's why we make it. And brings life back to the soil. You got a garden that's worn out, put some of this aerobic compost tea on it. And it's easy to make. You need rainwater or distilled water because the treated water is designed to kill organisms. So it's not working for us. So we can bypass that though with some nutrients, some liquid humus, some of the hydrolyzed fish, and molasses, unsulfured molasses.
Okay.
And we can put that into the container and bubble it for about 24 hours, and then we're beginning to have an opportunity to actually put the compost in there. And what we do is we will take this bag, now this can be bought at a paint store. It's used for filtering the paint.
Okay.
And so help me out here a little bit. This is earthworm castings. That's a cup of earthworm castings right there. Let's go ahead and let it go in there. And then that's 3 cups of compost. I do a compost blend. I like the bigger array of organisms.
Okay.
And it's that simple. You put it in there. I'll show you right here. We tie it to 2 sticks, and they are suspending this other bag that we put in here with the compost in it.
Okay.
Now we're making the extract. This is a little manifold right here, and this manifold pumps air into 3 places, into the bottom of the container, also into the bag, and we start making that extract. It's really, really simple. And so this is how it's done. It's very simple to use these things. They're inexpensive, a garage sale, you'll pick up that for nothing.
Pet store, hardware store.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's really one of the other nice things that you can put into your organic garden.
Okay, fantastic. So in case you're wondering, did you miss anything? Well, don't worry, because we're going to have all of this information on our website, including the recipe, exactly how this goes together, the timing, where you get the ingredients, everything you need to know. Website address, it's the same as our show name, growingagreenerworld.com, and you'll find it under the show notes for this episode.
Joe, let me show you something really neat that we do out here to save water and improve the quality of the plant, even in the hottest part of the year.
Right.
Now this is an ancient technology right here. This is an Oya, a nice container. It's low fired, so it sweats very easily. Here's one that's in the ground right there, and we fill it with water. And however they do it, the plants send their roots over to it, and they just wrap all around it and get that moisture. And they really become much more drought tolerant.
So the water's just seeping out, and it's a nice way of deep water irrigation.
Yeah, it's a really neat system. The ancients did a lot of stuff that we could learn from. But for us, maybe we want to do it economically, and we want to do many more plants in our garden. So one of the things that I like to do is take these nursery pots, just something simple like that, bury it in the ground, And then I put a little water in there earlier and it's beginning to go down.
Yeah.
So we'll bury it in the ground, and if you're going out for the weekend, fill her up. The roots are now getting deeper and deeper into the soil. We cover it. Sometimes you can put your fertilizer in there too.
Yeah, and it has the existing hole, or you could add others depending on how much water you want to have come out.
Simple way to water deeply and improve the drought tolerance of your plants.
And the price is right.
And the price is right.
Located just 10 miles east, Austin is also home to one of the country's premier urban garden center destination sites. With ever-changing plant displays, this independent garden center prides itself in using appropriate plant choices to inform, inspire, and motivate their guests. So Meredith, we are just 2 miles away from downtown Austin, and you're one of the premier garden centers in the city, but beyond that, you're also on the map across the country as one of the best. But I know that's not by accident. You are clearly doing certain things to make that so. What would you say is the #1 reason?
Well, #1 by far is our people. We have a staff of passionate plant professionals that really, truly love what they do.
Okay, but everybody knows the value of a good employee to the success of any business, but you guys are able to actually translate that into success. So what is it that makes that happen?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have to walk the talk. It trickles down. It's real easy as the GM in the company, or for some of my managers, you get busy, phone calls, trying to put out fires, to just maybe walk past somebody. Yep. But we don't. We stop and say hello to each and every person. And that 5 to 10 seconds can make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. Now walking in here though, it's not just about the plants. There's a real experience and an ambiance that's taking place. And I know that's intentional. So what are some of those things that makes that so?
Well, we want every person that comes in here to have a unique experience. So we have a lot of things like our waterfall, our giant wind chime, the oak trees, the green roof. We want everyone that leaves to remember how unique this place was.
Yep. Now when I come here, there's a good chance that I would be looking for a particular plant that I am not going to find at some of those stores that I've passed along the way. And I know that's a big part of a good IGC, is the unique plants.
Yeah, absolutely. We really work hard and strive to bring the newest stuff to the market, to have stuff that people want, doing special orders and bringing in what the people need. There's a great analogy in our industry that the IGC is kind of like a little dinghy, and the big merchant is kind of like a giant oil tanker. The dinghy can move really quickly and change course. We may not have a lot of power, but we can do new and different things all the time. That oil tanker takes a lot more time and people to make a course correction.
Okay. But if I'm trying to save some money and I'm in a hurry and I need some basic bedding plants or something to put in my beds, I'm probably going to be buying it at the box store.
Yeah, and we understand that. Price is something we always hear. One of the things a lot of people may not realize, every plant you see here, Joe, I already own it. I had to buy it to get it to come here. The box stores nowadays are actually doing what's called pay by scan, where they actually don't have to pay for material until someone buys it. If somebody returns it 6 months later dead, they actually take a credit from their grower.
Wow. So one of the competitive advantages you have may not be on the price, but it's on education, for example. And you love to make your gardeners smarter people, and
Absolutely.
So you do that through seminars.
Yeah, education is really what we do. We have, with our 20 employees here, I would say we have over 200 years of garden center experience. And we offer seminars, we offer free handouts. We're just here to answer questions. That's what we do.
Yeah, and it shows. You do a great job.
Well, thanks.
Now, I remember making a terrarium way back in elementary school, but I don't recall all these different ingredients here. But this is what you do for your customers. You show them how to do things like this, and this is pretty much typical of what you do.
Exactly. Joe, do you know how a terrarium's like an onion?
I don't.
Well, they smell bad and they make you cry. Oh. No, I'm just kidding. That's only if you do it wrong. If you do it the right way, a terrarium is built in layers.
Okay.
So we're going to start here. We have a real simple little glass jar we're going to do. Our first layer is always going to be some kind of a rock. We like to use pea gravel. This is just going to kind of build a little reservoir in the bottom, somewhere for the extra water to go, and act as kind of a buffer zone.
Okay.
Next, we're going to put a thin layer of charcoal, and this is just there to maybe absorb any odors that might happen, just like a 1/4 to a ½ inch layer. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of that stuff in.
Okay.
Now next, we're going to put in some soil, and actually what we're going to use is what's called a soilless mix. I know that sounds funny, but this is something that doesn't have any dirt or compost or anything like that in it.
Just a neutral growing medium is what that is.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're going to get a few scoops of that. All right.
Okay.
So now we've got a nice base layer of soilless mix in there. We're just going to add some plants. Now, like any kind of mixed planter, we want to make sure we get guys that play well together. You don't want to put a cactus right next to a fern.
Right.
And you also want to get stuff that's going to stay fairly small. This is a fairly small terrarium, so let's just plug some plants in.
Okay. This could not be much easier.
It really couldn't.
But it still helps to know that you're doing it right.
That's the key. If you want to be successful, you always want to do it the right way first. So.
Now, once this is in, do you water it in as well?
Yeah, you're going to want to water it in. You know, with a glass terrarium like this, you can actually see the water level. But what I really tell people is make sure you never put in more than about 1/4 of the volume of soil. Since this doesn't drain, we want to make sure we don't put too much water in.
Right, and then you just cover it up to hold what moisture is there in the terrarium.
And it can go a long time without being watered because it actually kind of recycles some of its moisture in there. You want to make sure and put it in a place that gets bright light but not too much direct sun because we don't want to end up cooking them.
Okay, so now I know how to make one properly, plus I can get everything I need to do it right here too.
Absolutely.
That works. Houseplants are becoming a lot more popular in garden centers like this, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, with people moving back into the city, into condos and such, they still want to have some green around them. So a houseplant is a great way to achieve that.
And yet they still have some questions on how to keep it looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. A houseplant is a little different than anything else. And one of the main things people want to know about is repotting.
Okay, so you teach that, and this is what we're going to learn today, some of the options for that.
Yeah, you know, one thing that's really simple, a lot of times people feel like it just has to be repotted immediately, and that's not necessarily true.
But they don't want it in a black pot either.
But they don't want, that black pot just sitting in their living room. So one option is something called a cache-pot. That's a French word for basically just like a plant sleeve. So this guy is just going to drop right in there. Look at that. Looks fabulous, and it was that easy.
Done. But that's not always the best option.
Not always. Let's say that this plant really did need to be repotted. You know, instead of planting it in a ceramic container, which is going to get really heavy as they get larger and larger, you can actually just replant in a larger grow pot. In this case, what we can do is take a real simple saucer and drop it in there.
Okay.
We would replant this pot into the larger grow pot just like you would normally plant, and then you just sit that in there.
Okay.
Once again, piece of cake. Now you can easily move that without having to carry the heavy ceramic pot at the same time.
Makes a lot of sense. And then you have this third option. This is a self-watering container?
Yeah, this is what's called a sub-irrigation pot, and it's kind of a self-watering system. This pot doesn't drain, and it has a little substrate in the bottom. You just plant like you normally would, but then there's a special little tube over here. You flip this up, pour your water in. It actually has an indication level to show you when you're full, when you're empty. I mean, it really couldn't make it much easier. And then you just, once again, drop this in a nice ceramic pot, piece of cake.
Okay, and so it puts the irrigation on autopilot.
Pretty well.
I like that. Nice options.
Yeah.
In today's busier than ever world, sometimes investing a little more time in your independent garden center can pay huge dividends in return of your time and money. If you'd like more information, we have a lot of that on our website under the show notes for this episode. And the address, it's the same as our name. It's growingagreenerworld.com. There we have all our past episodes and articles and recipes and so much more. I'm Joe Lample. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World.